I am Nio, and behind me is my trusty companion Angel. He really is the mastermind of this channel.
Oh yeah.
Today I wanted to discuss whether 5 a.m. or any other super early get up time is a good idea for you personally, why you might want to do it, why do I do it, and whether it matters for your success at all, whether you're an early bird or a night owl or just like a loaf of bread. But before I delve into discussing any potential benefits of getting up at 5 a.m., we have to do two big reality checks. Number one is you have to ask yourself, is this practically applicable to my particular lifestyle? It doesn't matter what positive effects getting up at 5 a.m. could bring into your life if you're constantly sleep deprived. Now, I don't necessarily believe in the magic of number 8. I don't know where that came from, but you need to know how many hours of sleep you personally need to be getting to be healthy. And then you need to count back. So if you want to get up at 5 a.m. and you, for example, need to be sleeping 7.5 hours, you need to go to bed at 9:30 p.m. You need to be like asleep. So if this sounds really crazy to you, then that's probably a no-go, because you will be sleep deprived. That's not an option. And you also need to consider things like, do you have a busy social life? Well, imagine you're watching this in 2030 and we're back to normal, there's no corona, you have friends and you're going out. Is this an important part of your life? You have to consider this. You will not be happy if you give up something that actually makes you happy in order to just be more productive. That's not worth it. Same goes with maybe your family members who you'd like to spend time in the evening with only are available later in the evening. Or you have some activities that go on until later at night which would prevent you from being able to go to bed on time. Those are all very important things to consider. So if you have figured that one out and it's okay, then you have to ask yourself a second big question. Why am I doing this? If you don't have a good reason why, this is not going to be beneficial for you. You will give up and you will burn out and you will not find it good for yourself in any way or form, because you will just be getting up early for the sake of getting up early. I guarantee after a month you will give up, and then you will just think that getting up at 5 a.m. is the stupidest idea anyone has ever come up with. Everybody who gets up at 5 a.m. is just a pretentious potato. Don't be that person. Just don't. If you don't have a good idea in mind of what you would be doing with your extra time, there's not really any point for you to get up early. But if those two things are okay and you have your yes, let's go, I can go to bed early, and yes, I have a good why, then we can talk about the potential benefits of getting up at that hour. So now, what if you just had a little think and you realized, okay, getting up super early is not for me, this is never gonna work, or maybe it will not work for you right now in your life? You can just skip to the last part of the video where I kind of low-key debunk the myth that you have to be an early riser to be successful, which I have no idea where that came from. Anyway, skip right to that. And for the rest of us who want to know the benefits, or at least what big reasons for getting up so early I have, please do stay tuned. Okay, the juicy part. Why on earth would anybody get up at such an ungodly hour, terrorizing all of us, peacefully sleeping citizens? Well, there are a few good reasons. None of them are because a leprechaun will show up in your room if you get up at 5 a.m. 3 days in a row and sprinkle you with some gold. But here are 5 of my most important reasons to get up at 5 a.m. Number 1, let's get the most obvious one out of the way. It gives me extra hours in my day. Now, I'm not talking any hours, I'm talking productive hours. A lot of us are mistakenly assuming that they are night owls because they like to stay up late and just don't want to go to bed for a while. Now, statistically speaking, we are not really night owls. Like, there is a very small percentage of humans who really are night owls, and you would know this if you were a really truly night owl. If you were an adult, fully grown adult, imagine you had to do your taxes. And I know there is never a good time to do your taxes, but imagine you had to do them. Would you really be at your sharpest at, let's say, 11 p.m. or 1 a.m. or whatever it is, like late at night? If that's the case, and indeed you would be at your sharpest later at night, then you're probably a night owl. But then you already knew that getting up super early is not for you. You're probably not watching this video. For the rest of us who are at our best during the day or the morning, by the time it's the evening, we are probably not doing productive stuff. We're doing something that's not really good for us, most likely. We're probably watching Netflix or just chilling. Could be that you're outright doing bad stuff here. It's not going to be your best hours. So getting up early and getting yourself those extra 1-2 hours in the morning gives you not just extra hours, but extra hours of productive time, which means that you can pick up a new language, read up on personal finance, teach your dogs tricks so you too can run away from your family and join a traveling circus. Opportunities are truly endless. Number 2, it helps me feel in control of my life. Now, there are a lot of things in our lives that are completely outside of our control, and getting up on time is not one of those things for me. So as I train my body to go to bed and get up at a certain time every day, no matter how much I don't want to do it, no matter how much resistance there is, I feel like a boss. And this seemingly small act kind of reminds me that I am in control of some things in my life and that I'm a master of the universe. I mean, the master of my life. I'm the master of my life. Number 3, it helps me develop my willpower. Now, I don't necessarily believe that willpower alone is a great way to develop any habits. However, having strong willpower is definitely a plus. So every day when I get up on time and go to bed on time, I'm practicing this skill over and over again. So it's sort of like going to the gym, but instead of your butt, you're training your willpower. And needless to say, this is a really useful skill to have. Number 4, it gives me an immediate sense of achievement. So when I wake up and within 1 minute of opening my eyes, I have already achieved something, that's a pretty awesome feeling. I also track my habits, so I get the satisfaction of ticking off a habit in my app immediately within minutes of waking up, which again sets me up for a good mood, or at least feeling a bit better about myself, and makes it just a little tiny bit easier to get more little wins in my day, and kind of gets me on a roll, which takes me to my last big point. Number 5, it helps elevate other areas of my life, because it's an identity-changing habit. Now let me explain this one. If you've read The Atomic Habits by James Clear, you will already know that one of the most effective ways to build a habit is to aim at changing your identity, rather than just trying to slap a habit on and trying to stick it out by the sheer power of goodwill. And if you haven't read the book, I'm going to do a summary of it and the main ideas from the book in a video quite soon. So stick with me, and I wonder if this is a good time to somewhat harass you with asking you to subscribe to my channel. Please subscribe. Okay, but what does adopting a new habit by aiming at changing your identity actually mean? So there is a big psychological difference between trying to adopt a habit of, let's say, exercising 3 times a week, and being a healthy person and adopting an identity of a sporty, healthy person who takes good care of themselves, and as a consequence then taking care of yourself and exercising. As the habit building overlord James Clear states, once our pride gets involved, it becomes that much easier to stick with the habit because, well, we don't want to hurt our own pride. So circling back to getting up at 5 a.m. For some reason, our society, at least in the media, is describing morning people as more successful, more productive, just more awesome people altogether and magical, like those leprechauns who never showed up in my room. And you want to associate yourself with those people once you adopt that identity. So instead of maybe just being a person who gets up at 5 a.m., you could say that you are now a productive, successful person you're on your way to big success, and you want to be like all those other cool, productive, successful, rich carrots who get up at 5 a.m. So imagine you are getting up at 5 a.m. What are the chances that you're going to go and immediately get up at 5 a.m. and go sit on a couch with a bag of crisps and be like, chill, Netflix time? Well, don't take this as a personal challenge, but the chances are quite slim. What's more likely to happen is this habit of yours is going to have more like a snowball effect and maybe motivate you to do more things that people with this identity of a morning person who are more successful, more motivated, more productive all those things that they would do. So not only you would eat a healthy breakfast because you now actually have time to do it, but maybe you would eat a healthy breakfast because that's what a successful, cool carrot like Steve Jobs would do. I don't know if he got up at 5 a.m. Somebody else who does get up at 5 a.m. and who's doing pretty well for themselves, although Steve Jobs is dead, so I guess he's not really doing that great. Anyway, you get my point. In the end, such a relatively small changes, just, you know, the actual act of getting up could have a huge impact on all the rest of your day and spill out into the other areas of your life. And that's exactly how it worked for me. This whole productivity craze that I got into has started with me getting up at 5 a.m. And I will tell you, it really did do some sort of magic and no leprechauns involved. Bonus point, it's so quiet at 5 a.m. It's a bliss. There is nobody around and it's just really, really peaceful. If you struggle with any sort of anxiety disorder or if you're just stressed out a lot, getting those few hours of peace to yourself every morning can really make a huge difference. And honestly, it's really helped me personally. Also, a semi-fun fact, I actually find it way easier to get up at 5 a.m. than at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. or whatever. I don't know how this works. I am not some sort of natural early riser at all. I've never been one. I actually had a goal in 2020 to get up before 9 a.m. 20 days out of 30 every month. I failed that miserably. I could not do it because I kept aiming at 8 a.m. or 7 a.m. or whatever. So I don't know if my sleep schedule was just so screwed up that it was just all over the place. So if your schedule is also all over the place or you don't even have a schedule at all and you kind of have trouble getting up at relatively normal time, which is like 8 a.m. or 7:30 a.m. or whatever, it could be true that resetting your whole schedule by getting up at 5 a.m. it could be helpful for you. So if all of this sounds fantastic, I just encourage you to try. I mean, if you don't try, you don't know, right? And what's the worst that can happen? You're miserable for like a month or two, but it could also change your life super big times. So really, just don't give up after 2 days. That's of course useless, and stick out for some reasonable amount of time. Some credible people say it takes around 30 to 66 days to build a new habit. I would link some credible sources, but I was too busy googling pictures of leprechauns. By the way, did you know it was spelled leprechauns? Last but not least, I want to discuss the point where it's told that you have to get up early to be successful. I have no clue who came up with this. This is the most ridiculous idea ever. I mean, what sense does that even make? So if you really tried to get up early and it didn't work for you, or you're just not a person who can feasibly get up early, it's not lost for you. It's okay. You don't have to get up early. There are numerous studies of real people who have confirmed that it doesn't matter whether you get up at 5 a.m. or 5 p.m. It just matters what you do with your time. So let's have a look at some routines of people who did pretty okay for themselves to prove my point. Pulling up this wonderful infographic. By the way, you can find the link to this interactive infographic in the description bar. But we have here some creatives. You might have heard of a few names here, like Mozart, Charles Dickens, and Sigmund Freud. You know, a few guys and ladies. There's everybody here. So let's have a look. We have Benjamin Franklin, pretty famous dude. He was in the 5 a.m. club. So he was going to bed at 10, getting up at 5, you know, doing the whole cool kids club thing. But then we go a little bit down. Let's see, Charles Darwin, getting up at 7 a.m. Not so crazy, normal time. So a lot of these people seemingly got up relatively early. But then let's look at Pablo Picasso. That guy, pretty famous. I think did pretty good for himself. He got up at like 11 a.m. and went to bed never. What is it, 2, 3 a.m.? And again, pretty successful. And then look, Balzac, what's that about? That guy was like, whoa, that's something. Went to bed at 6 p.m., got up at 1 a.m., and then took a nap at 8. I mean, looks like he literally pretty much just worked and ate. Take that for a schedule. But don't actually, that sounds pretty intense. Most importantly, if you've tried it and it's not working out for you for whatever reason, and you're grumpy and you're miserable, and people around you start looking like they're shaped as pillows, just don't torture yourself. Really, it's not worth it. You don't have to join the cool kids 5 a.m. club to be successful. Maybe you're the next Pablo Picasso, who knows? Just use your time wisely and take care of yourself. Hope this was somewhat helpful, and if it was, please do like my video. It would really help with the algorithm. And thank you so much for watching. I see you next time. Angel says bye.